Rural Heritage on RFD TV is brought to you by Rural Heritage Magazine, a bi-monthly magazine featuring articles about farming and logging with draft animal power, small-scale diversified family farming and homesteading, and other aspects of our rich rural heritage. Rural Heritage Magazine, borrowing from yesterday to do the work of today. For subscription information, please call 319-362-3027 or order online at www.ruralheritage.com. If you've been watching Rural Heritage on RFD TV, you already know that Homeplace on Green River outside Campbellsville, Kentucky is a special place. With its historic farm buildings and twice-a-year festivals, it offers the general public a look into what the world was like for our forefathers living in the countryside. But one area we haven't yet explored at the Homeplace is an aspect often forgotten by living history farms or outdoor museums, but which was a very important part of the country life in the 19th century and before, the woodlands surrounding the farm. Homeplace Executive Board President Joe Fudge took Boyd Sandusky and I on a walk on some of the 5 miles of trails winding through the Homeplace woods to show us the natural diversity there and talk about some of the ways the woods were a big part of pioneer life.
These trails, I tell everybody whenever they come through, these trails are very much like the trails that our forefathers walked on, that animals made. These are man-made, but they're very much the same because we go around with the contour, try not to go up and downhill. Cuts down on erosion too to begin with. So. What we're walking through, right down through here for a little while, it's apparent that it's an old field because of the species that are growing in it, ash and poplars and those type things that need sunshine to germinate and grow. And very well could have been corn or whatever grown on the hillside too. We were on worst enemies a lot of times. I always try to share with the kids when they come through, I'm not a big Latin fan, and apparently a lot of people weren't because it's not spoken anymore. But right. But I always try to share simple things with children and with everybody for that matter that will stick with them. But this ash tree here, white ash, is very similar to many other types of bark. They all have their differences once you learn what they are. But one of the things that's easy to tell, if you can't tell if this is a hickory, a pig nut hickory or something to that effect, if all you have to do is do that. If you can do that, it's most likely ash, and it's certainly not hickory because hickory bark is really hard and tough. So if you can rub it and do that, then it's probably white ash. Osage orange or hedge apple or whatever it is one of the things that you can tell that's the difference is the flare that comes out from the root. This is indicative of elm. They flare, the roots flare out, and if you look at the ash, right. they're kind of going more directly down straight into the ground. Right. But you can see here on the bottom side how the roots, yep. Even on this younger tree, yep. have flared out. Coming out. So whenever you look and you see this bark and that bark and they look similar to you, they're just little keys.
But this bark here is a lot harder. It won't come off like that.
It won't come off as bad.
Yeah.
It's a
you got to pull it off.
It's a flakier bark.
Right.
That bark there is not flaky. It's tight, but right. it's loose and soft. This one here is hard, but it's flaky because it will just flip off.
Right.
Like a scaly bark hickory.
Because their leaves are awful close. Similar. Their leaves are awful similar.
Yeah. That's why a lot of people get them confused.
Yeah. This is also a hard bark, and that's hackberry.
Hackberry.
Yeah. Bark is so different. It depends on if it's on the south slope, north slope, east
right.
slope, west slope, how fast it's grown.
Right. Age of the tree.
Genetics are different.
Yep.
With every step you take too. This is always a point that we stop and talk to our kids whenever they're coming through and warn them to not just grab a trunk of a tree without looking, or a young tree. that is a honey locust. Of course.
You know, is that a hard tree? Like a hard
Yeah,
bark?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Well, how did it get
That was a vine. A vine.
the vine?
That was growing.
Every now and then you see a few hard ones that,
Yeah.
that the vine will do, but not very many.
No, but yeah, locust is generally, black locust is of course very hard.
Real hard, yeah.
But I obviously am not a Native American, but I've been told that they use those a lot for needles.
Right.
To
Yeah.
sew.
Right.
Sew with. And this is mulberry. It's beginning to get shaded, and it's old, and like the rest of us, when we get older, we start going backwards. Here's one that gets mixed up a lot with dogwood because of the red berries this time of year. That's Carolina buckthorn. There's Buckeye. And of course, the specific thing about Buckeye is the Buckeyes are, one hemisphere of a Buckeye is poison and the other hemisphere is not. The squirrels and animals, wild animals, know which half is poison. The squirrels will eat half of it and won't eat the other half.
No kidding.
Yeah.
But we don't know how to tell the difference without sending it to a laboratory. It always fascinates the children whenever you tell them that.
Fascinates me.
That the squirrels are smarter than we are. I had third graders out here on a walk in the woods, and one of the third graders was walking behind me after we talked about some things, and particularly we were talking about a Buckeye and how a Buckeye is poison on one side and it's not poison on the other side, and the squirrels know the difference and they'll eat the non-poison side, but we have to send it to a laboratory and have it tested to figure out which side. So anyway, after explaining that, one little third grade boy was behind me, and he said, "Man, when they told me this morning we was going out to a farm and to walk in the woods," he said, "I thought boring, but this is totally awesome." And to see that light go on is what makes it all worth it all to us. Black walnut there. Most expensive tree in the woods.
Yeah. You know, for years there, they wouldn't buy walnut though. Why did they do that? Because of the dust?
Well, the guy that cuts timber for me, whenever he cuts, he has to have a long sleeve shirt on because it causes
a rash.
Yeah, a rash on his arm.
Yeah.
Sawdust dust. Any kind of a dark wood, it comes and goes as far as being Yeah. Because one generation will fall in love with it, and then once they get it, they find out that you have to have more light bulbs in the house in order to be able to see, because it just absorbs light. I mean, it just. I had a friend that built. Had some nicest walnut cabinets. I mean, the most beautiful things you've ever seen. He said he would stumble through the house, because he. And you remember saw the hackberry up there? Look at the hackberry bark on that.
Oh
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't even look like the same tree.
Right.
So I mean, identifying trees by the bark is difficult.
Hard.
It is.
It
It's
is.
difficult.
It's really hard.
It just takes experience. I mean, that's just all you.
You got to know your trees.
It just takes experience. And also, black walnut puts an enzyme into the soil. Also, like fescue, it'll just actually kill fescue. So it gets rid of competitors.
Right. Protecting itself.
Yeah.
Now, Brother Joe, what about these? What about this right here?
That's a girdling root.
That kills trees.
It can. It
Yeah.
can.
And they'll get bigger, and when they get bigger, that's when they kill them.
Yeah. It starts girdling. I mean, it starts cutting off the flow.
Cutting off the flow, the
nutrients.
nutrients.
Up and down, and
the-
starches back down
right.
to the roots.
It's killing itself. That root
Yeah.
is from this
Yeah,
tree.
it'll
It's doing
actually
to
kill
itself.
itself.
Well, it may be from this tree. It may be
Okay.
from
It
another
may be
tree.
from another tree. See, it's coming from here over here, so evidently
Maples,
it's coming from up there off of that tree.
maples are historically bad about particularly transplanting a hickory if they're container grown, or if you just ball them. You cut them and ball them and burlap them.
Right.
And whenever you plant them in the hole, you turn them to try to get them oriented right and the right height and all that type of stuff, and then the roots start growing around the tree rather than away from the tree. And the first sign that if somebody reports that they have a maple tree that seems to be dying on one side or whatever, and you go look, the first thing you look for is you look for areas where it goes straight into the ground like a stovepipe, and that's usually indicative of a girdling root right up against the tree on that side. So you just dig down an inch or two and you'll find a root going over a root, and as it gets bigger, they both choke each other off.
Choke each other out.
You can see that this hillside was farmed. I mean, there's no soil left.
Okay, so there was nothing to hold the soil, it just eroded.
Yeah, it was
Right, okay.
grass or field or whatever, and the soil, and of course the hillside, it's coming off of the fields, the water coming off of the fields, it's eroded the soil away. Hard to replace it too, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And of course red cedar lay there for years and years and years. Just very rot resistant. All the the white sapwood is already gone, rotted off of it. And this is what's referred to, and this is not a stream. It's an ephemeral channel because it only carries water when it's raining or shortly thereafter.
Okay.
There are.
And it's not runoff, it's coming out of the ground, but it's
No, it's runoff.
It is runoff. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they're during wet weather, they can be wet weather seeps and all that type of stuff, but there won't be water running down it. It's not a blue line stream on a topo map,
Okay.
so to speak.
Gotcha.
But an ephemeral channel is what it's referred to. Now, here is what I consider to be one of the most beautiful trees in the woods, and this is a blue ash as opposed to the white ash that we've been looking at. In fact, that's a white ash right across the strip by. You can see the difference in the leaves. It's more, they're a little bit more narrow, the leaflets are. And you can see the difference in the bark also. In the bark of this tree and that tree over there. But the identifying factor that's readily identifiable is white ash doesn't retain the dead limbs after they fall off. I mean, it doesn't retain them.
Okay.
They die, they fall off, they scar over, you don't see it. But you can see the dead limbs that are retained on this tree here, even up into the top. So that's how you can
Identify.
identify
Now,
Quickly.
is it still popular like the white ash as far as lumber wise?
As far as I know, you take it to the mill, but because it retains the limbs, the wood will,
You have a knot.
you'll have a knot
Right.
that'll be inside it because it retains those limbs and grows out over the limb
Right.
before it falls off.
Exactly.
So it won't be as high quality. You can't
Right.
make a baseball bat out of that one, I
Right.
suppose. You see, here's like red cedar. Here's red cedar, and they're a pioneer species. Whenever it's a field, they're if you have a seed source, and most of the time there is a seed source around here, you can just see here's one, there's two, there's another. Red cedar up there that are younger. So this was a field at one time, and grew up in red cedar, and you can see that a lot of these the canopy is over top of them now, and they're struggling to survive.
Yep.
There you can see the skeleton of the shaded.
Yep.
And I suppose a squirrel nest right there,
Yep.
or a crow's nest, or hackberry, I believe.
Yeah.
Now you talking about different. Sugar maple will do that too. It'll
Right.
flare out the.
Papery, kind of thin bark.
Yeah. But this actually curls,
Right.
away from where hickory, it just flakes loose and it hangs down and flaps,
You talking about a scaly bark hickory?
Yeah, scaly bark
Yeah.
hickory, but with this, it's a little bit different. process. Here's our state tree, tulip poplar or yellow poplar. Always amazing to me that the flowers are tulip.
Y'all obviously.
And the leaves are shaped like a tulip. Always kind of amazed me that.
Right. Y'all obviously don't have no loggers hike through here because they'd be wearing you to death, especially when they saw that.
Yeah.
My house is built out of yellow poplar.
Yeah. It is a
Yellow poplar?
hardwood.
It
It's
is?
a hardwood, but it's softer than
Okay.
a regular. I mean, most hardwoods.
It's,
Okay.
It's termite resistant.
Yeah, the yellow part. If you get a big out of a big enough tree.
Yellow poplar, yeah.
This is one of my teaching trees here. It's a white ash. Several different. I usually get the children's attention by saying that part of this tree, there used to be the other half of the tree, the other fork of the tree was here. I said it was here, but it's gone, but it's still here. Well, it really flips them, trying to figure out where I'm going. But you can see the rest of the tree laying right down
there. Yeah.
It's flat. Where it came off here.
Right.
And then the other thing is showing the difference in the bark and the scar tissue. You can get right here, you can see it really good. This is the bark from the tree, and after that, when that tree failed, right here was as far as the bark went.
Okay.
And this is scar tissue
Just grew over.
that's growing over, trying to cover up that.
You can see right down through there.
Yeah, trying to cover
Alright.
up that wound. Yeah.
Right up across there.
Yeah.
Sure is.
It's amazing how it, and that's why when you top a tree, anytime that you're pruning a tree, you want to go back to a fork, and it will. See if I can find a. Well, you can look at this cedar here. See the swelled area around this?
Right.
If you cut their enzymes, etc., in there that facilitate or precipitate, I guess you would say, growth, scar tissue, and if you cut that limb off closely to that swelled area around the limb, then it will grow over it, and it keeps it from rotting. Of course, this is cedar, so it wouldn't rot anyway very quickly. But if you cut a limb off out here, then that limb will start dying back because the enzymes that preserve it long enough for the scar tissue to cover it up are too far away.
Yeah, they got too far to go.
Yeah, so it starts dying back to the trunk, and then it creates a scar and a heart rot and all those type things. Trees are meant to grow in a community.
Right.
I mean, a forest is a community of. It's much more than that, but a community, more than anything else, it's a community of trees.
Right.
And trees are meant to grow out here. They get vertical growth, trying to get in the canopy or above the canopy to get all the sunlight they can
Right.
get. Because the bigger the crown is, the more food they can make, the faster they grow, the healthier they'll be. The problem with trees that are planted out in the open or growing out in the open is that they don't grow vertically that much
They grow
because
every which
they
way.
all got all kinds of sunlight, so they
Right.
grow everywhere, trying to get and make as
Exactly.
much food as they can. So they end up being like a big, huge sail on a sailboat.
Exactly.
And during a storm on the sailboat, you can take the sail down,
Right.
but you can't take the sail down on a tree that's out in the open. So that's why pruning is so important to a yard tree or a landscape tree, in an urban area or whatever.
Even
is
a fruit tree.
Yeah, because you keep them healthy,
Right.
remove the dead limbs so that they don't have that dieback and heart rot
Exactly.
and all those type things. And then you do crown thinning, go in the crown and thin it out so that the wind will pass through rather than pushing it over. And it always fascinates me that folks will spend thousands of dollars a year maintaining a $300 lawn, but they won't spend
A nickel
a
on their
nickel
trees.
on a tree that's invaluable to
Right.
them.
Irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And takes decades to replace rather than 2 weeks.
We started publishing the Draft Horse Wall Calendar 40 years ago. It quickly became a holiday tradition for families to give and receive our calendars. Many tell us it wouldn't be Christmas if there wasn't a Draft Horse calendar under the tree. We've always found the best, most interesting photos showing a variety of draft horse breeds put to a wide range of tasks, from threshing oats, making hay, logging hardwood, and performing before appreciative crowds. This year is no different, and the quality hasn't changed either. They cost $16.95 each, postage paid, and prices go down as you buy more. Give us your gift list and we can send them on your behalf. Visit www.ruralheritage.com to order, or call toll-free 877-647-2452. That's ruralheritage.com or 877-647-2452.
Boy, here's a good example of a girdling root right there.
Yeah, right there.
And you know, if stress can do, this tree may very well, see this is girdling root here, going up right there.
Right. Could be.
And it, that may have been what caused the heart rot to begin in the tree.
Exactly.
So it's hard to say sometimes. It's just so many variables.
And so this is a beech with a cedar growing out of it?
Yeah,
Sort
it's
of?
actually a cedar.
With the beech growing
probably-
around it.
That's maybe the same age as this one here.
Okay.
It just got shaded early, and then the beech is growing around it.
The cedar was first.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's older. It grows slower.
We're going to we're now entering the River Bluff Trail. River Bluff Trail makes a circle. It goes this way, and it goes, so,
Nice.
and then you can go right over here and go on the
Blue Heron Trail.
the Blue Heron Trail, and then the other trails tie into it.
Sure.
And you can make circles through all of them. It's about, I say, half a mile to the river, Green River.
From here.
Looks like, but you talking about a huge tree. It's a twin without a doubt. But that is a monster, isn't it? See, it's a twin. It's not two trees growing together. It's
One tree that separated early.
yeah.
Thanks for joining us today at Rural Heritage and RFD TV, where we borrow from yesterday to do the work of today. This program is available for purchase. To order your copy, please call 319-362-3027 or visit www.ruralheritage.com. Rural Heritage is a bi-monthly magazine dedicated to draft animal farming and logging, as well as other aspects of our rich rural heritage. It is published by Mishka Press, which also offers a complete line of back-to-the-land books, DVDs, and calendars. Call or write for a catalog or subscription information, or visit our website at www.ruralheritage.com.